everybody. I hope everyone is well. Today I thought it would be very fun. I found to do a little painting project. Let me finish that sentence. I thought it would be fun to do a little painting project, but it will also include some sculpture. That's exciting. I love sculpture. Sculpture is fun. As an ex-sculpture artist, oh, I miss it. I miss clay. I miss kilns. I miss glaze. One of my biggest pet peeves is people calling ceramic art pottery. It drives me insane. And it really is from my instructors that I had for ceramics. It was, really their pet peeve that sort of rubbed off on me. But it does drive me crazy because I'm like, it's not just pottery, it's ceramics, like ceramics. Anyway, it's all that. That's my rage for today. But I found this cute little bunny. Bam, bam, bam. At Target of all places. Right? Yeah, it's a Mondo Llama. Which isn't my favorite brand for stuff, but I mean, it's an adorable little rabbit. So I'm going to show you how to not only customize this, but customize it in a way that adds some three-dimensional details without, like, I don't know, cardboard or whatever. I have a way with this stuff. It's called Magic Clay. And I know it comes in pouches too. That's not what I have. I have the little tubs. Actually, I need to save that color. Got to make sprinkles at some point. So let's use this neon color because I don't see myself ever using that. So I have my Magic Clay. Got it on Amazon. Got my little wooden bunny. And I've got some paint, lots of paint actually, some water, paper towels, sculpting tools, dotting tools, rollers, situations. There I go with that stupid word again, situations. Anyway, we're going to sculpt some carrots and some little arms on him. And I think that will be adorable. So, first thing that I want to do though, oh, that was easy, getting the label off. It never comes off that easily. That's crazy sauce, I tell you. Let me show you a little bit about this clay though before we get going. So it comes in a little container, and it has a little plastic film on it, so you got to get that off. Which I think is the hardest part, really. Just trying to get the plastic off. Like, everything is so difficult. Why? Anyway, when you take this clay out, it's kind of bubbly. And, there we go. And it snaps. Hear that? Like, it's almost got, like, a lot of air in it. So, in order to work it right, you hear that? Anyway, in order to get it to work correctly, you've got to pop all those bubbles out, I have found. So I'm going to give this a little knead, and then we're going to get started. So, yay! Pop in.
The video you are looking for is lost or otherwise unusable. Please stand by for further instructions. All right, so here's my little bunny after the clay has dried. More on that later. So he's got some rough spots because it's clay added to wood. So what the idea behind this is to fill in all of those gaps and holes with puffy paint, which is what I'm speed doing right here. Squeezing it in, those crevices underneath, because there's lots of crevices and air holes, and you need to fill those in so that way you don't have to paint them. And this acts like a secondary glue as well. So this is just super helpful. I use puffy paint because it'll puff up and fill in the gaps. You could be very heavy-handed with this, but I was not.
So our little bunny friend has dried. His puffy paint really didn't puff, but it sealed the crevices, which is all I really was looking for. Now, I have a fine grit sandpaper block, and I'm just gonna sand these edges ever so slightly, just so that way they blend into the wood a little bit better, because I don't want them being clumpy when I paint. So I'm just trying to be real gentle. And like I said, this is fine grit, so that way he doesn't have big gouges or anything. And there is a few little spots, like especially right here where the clay kind of rolled up a little bit. So I'm gonna make sure that I smooth that out.
So we're speed sanding here just to try and get the clay a little bit more smooth and on the wood a little bit better. So that's all we're doing here, just sanding.
All right, that feels pretty good. Your bum feels good, Mr. Bunny. Okay, so first things first, we need to get some gesso out and paint him all white with gesso.
And we're gessoing the bunny. Gesso's really nice. It acts like a primer, really. Like that's essentially what it is. It's a craft paint primer. You wouldn't want to call it that in fine art stores because they will look at you funny and correct you. But that's essentially what it is. Like it just makes everything all on one plane of canvas, if that makes sense. So, rather than, it's slick for wood or, bumpy for clay or whatever, it just kind of all smooths everything out and just makes it a nice paintable surface. So if you can afford to buy gesso for your arts and crafts, it really does make a big difference. And it's, like I said, makes a big difference. It's lovely. So we go on gessoing. This goes on for a while. And now I am painting the carrots, really sort of rethinking my life choices at this point, because I like the idea initially for the carrots, but then I'm like, carrots? Well, okay, well, that's a little blah, a little boring. Let's see what else we can do. But we paint the carrots, and then we pick a brown. Actually, it's like a khaki. And I paint mainly the bunny off camera because, there we go. There we go. Hey. And now we're back off camera, sort of. Ugh, Lord. I appreciate all of you watching these. Thank you. Yeah. So I guess I hadn't really. Oh, and this is where my video goes slow motion for a bit. And I record for 45 minutes, I think, in slow motion. This is just a little blob of it. Isn't it hilarious watching this? Not in real time, but slower than possible. Like why this is necessary in life. Why do we have a slow-mo button? I don't know. But this is, yeah, that good times, man. And now we're sanding again. I keep going back to the sanding because as I paint, I can see the rough edges, the blobby edges, and then excuse my head for being in the way. Either I'm off camera or my head's in the way. Like that's great. Every day is a process. Yeah, so I do several layers of these colors on this bunny because it's wood. It does soak in a lot, which is helpful for the gesso. Like the gesso uses as a base coat, which is nice. Painting in between these little crevices, I have a very fine tip brush. I do wind up having to go over those sections a multitude of times, like 10, 11 times. I don't know. It was a lot, trying to cover up the orange to the brown and then the brown to the orange, and it's a lot. So next time I will be a little bit more careful, I think, with some of the glue, some of the painting, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I need new glasses. And now we're in the speed version of painting some of his face. And now we're back to carrots. See, I did tell you lots and lots of layers. Like between the two colors right there, probably 10 layers. I'm not even kidding. It was just a lot. Good grief. And now I'm singing funny things in my head because I'm painting and I kind of babble to the camera a little bit, but I know in the end that most of the voiceover comes in later because half the time I'm just sitting there so quietly that it makes no sense. Oh, this part. I am adding the little paintbrush tips. Now I use some paintbrushes that I don't use anymore. I have a whole pot full of them that just older brushes that used to be my favorites for one reason or another. And so I actually wind up cutting the tips off of them the very minute bitty tips of the base of the paintbrush. And so I'm using my needle nose pliers to kind of squish down on the metal and then cut them with the wire cutter that's in those pliers. It worked out really well. And then I used Gorilla Glue to adhere them. I've since bought a new tube of E6000 because my Gorilla Glue was just like so tacky and just not good quality. And then I whip out the harder edged sandpaper for this to get his little face a little bit cleaner. What's happening? Why am I cleaning on camera? Like, I don't know, folks. Good grief. Cleaning the table on camera. I mean, I guess that makes sense. And now I'm off camera because that's helpful. Here we go. I think she realized it, ladies and gents. I think she realized she was off camera. What you think? Oh, we're going to be more off camera. Oh, maybe just on the edge. Just on the edge. It's fine. Nobody's paying any attention anyway, right? Like, it's okay. I promise these videos will get better. Ooh, now we've got rainbows. So I had this brilliant idea that I was going to make this bunny because I hemmed and hawed, and I think that took a day away. Like when I was away from, because we had dentist appointments and I had a foot appointment, and we wound up not being in school that day because of the dentist. It was, 2 hours away, blah, 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 or an hour. Anyway, more on that later, or not. So I had this epiphany while I was driving all over the countryside trying to find the dentist for my daughter, that these carrots could be turned into little paintbrushes. And so I thought that would be a good idea. But then what am I going to do with that? Well, he could be a painter bunny. Like he comes and paints your house. And look, by the looks of him at the end, I'm not sure I'd hire him to paint my house, but maybe he does a good job. I don't know. Maybe he gets the crevices in between because his little brushes are teeny tiny. But so that was my brilliant idea. And so I was really excited about it. And so this is painting in those paint splotches, which I do edit some of them towards the end. That purple one on his head just doesn't look right. I actually wind up Googling paint splotches a minute or two ago in this video off camera again, to see, like, I know what they look like. I'm just not, there's my head again. Just not fully getting them out of my head very well. Anyway, if you're an artist, sometimes you can't get your ideas down on paper, or in this case, on bunny very well. So I go back and forth about that a little bit. But I do get him all situated and lovely and pretty again. So he's super cute. So there's a lot of narration in this video, for good reason. Mainly because I can't carry on a conversation for this long on camera, and it all makes sense because I wind up having to cut it up so much that it's like, why even bother? So I just sit there with my music playing and voice over later. So that's fun. That's a whole nother situation. The situation. It's a whole nother issue because is the audio going to work? Is the narration going to work? I don't know. You tell me. Maybe. We'll see. I'm going to put some music on to this because you don't need to listen to me yap for any further, I don't think, unless it's specific. This project has definitely taken some time, but look how stinking cute he is looking this morning. So that's his little blush. So I am gonna touch up the browns because they are patchy. Probably touch up these pink splatters in his tail. And then we'll get to work on the paint brushes that he carries, because how cute are they, right? Thank you. All right, so I put music over the top of the paintbrush portion. So I used some puffy paint actually on top of the shiny spots on the paintbrushes, and then on the very tips of them to show paint spilling down, like they're gloppy with paint, which I will paint over shortly. The puffy paint is really helpful because it gives a little bit of more grit to the shiny spots. Because they are metal and plastic, the paint was not sticking to them, which is fine. I mean, like it would. I will say, if I had thought about this idea before I put it together, I would have waited to do the carrots individually and paint them and make them look better, because they are, like, even at the end, they're kind of gloppy and a little rudimentary, if you want to use rudimentary, not churry. I can speak, I can use words. So they do look a little funky, but at the end, I do think that they came out really cute. So just stick with me, it'll get better. So here I am gessoing the top of the puffy paint because the gesso would not stick to it otherwise. And again, gesso is nice to prime things with and make a nice clean slate. So I wind up painting all of the little tips of the paintbrushes. I don't know what that part is called. You would think, as a painter and an artist, for somebody who's used brushes since the time I could hold a crayon, I would know what that piece is called. It's the metal part where it holds your bristles and your handle together. I will look it up. I will find out what that is. But for right now, that's what I'm doing. I'm gessoing those, and I'm gessoing the puffy paint drips, so that way when I paint on them, again, I have a clean slate and I'm not trying to cover up hot pink. So that's what we're doing here. Folks, we are about ready to finish up this little bunny, and I'm going to put some details on him and obviously finish his face, but I think so far so good. I'm not too worried about this. You can kind of see it didn't, I don't know, it's blotchy, it's bumpy, it's a whole disaster. But if I had thought about that before I made the carrots, I could have done a lot of different ways to go about covering this, and honestly maybe just leaving it, but then I don't know, it was too dark. So at any rate, it is imperfect, but I do think that he came out so far so good. So yeah, let's finish up those details, because that is the best part. Yay! I got my Poscas. I got my glasses. So let's finish this bad boy.
right, friends. So we have our finished bunny. Oh, I think he is so stinking cute. Like, I do think that he turned out really cute. I love the little shinies on him. I love his little face and the little tufts of fur. Like, so cute. So, I love it. I hope you all had a good time watching this. And a quick apology for a missing section of footage. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I tried to record my daughter the other day doing a slime review, which I thought would be super cute. Just a little something different on the channel. She was really excited. And at the end of her video, there was no volume. There's no audio whatsoever. I don't know. All I can say is that this is hard. And every time I'm forgetting something or whatever, and it's really quite maddening when you're trying to produce content and you're a newbie and you don't know what you're doing and your videos are always something wrong with them. So this week's issue was, so far that I've looked at, is that the video on how to attach and how to do the arms and the carrots is just gone. So I will post that another day because there will be more add-ons to wood and stuff. And so, I will be doing that again. So try to hold tight. It's not glue, so don't glue it. You literally just wet your wood a little bit and it's a clay. It's a specific kind of clay. I will do a how-to video on that soon. So, I appreciate you all watching. Thanks so much for stopping by. I love you all. And if you like this video, please give it a like and a subscribe. That would be awesome. And until next time, friends, I hope you create something beautiful and go put it out in the world. So until next time, I will see you later. Bye.